I just think when you finally sit down and you really kind of look at it and you realize 97% of the time you're dealing with people that you don't know, get out there and start knowing people. Get out there and introducing yourself. Get out there and network. Get out there and mastermind, and do it with people that are outside of your brokerage. I'm not a big believer in fake it till you make it. I think that just creates a lot of fakers. They made it, and now they made it being fake. And I continue that. Show up, learn, be open-minded, be around those people. Be a sponge. We all, talk about that. Be coachable, that type of thing. That's what's going to create that relationship with you. Why? Because you're being authentic. You're being who you are. Don't walk in there and try to be the top agent in the city. You can't sell like them and they can't sell like you. The more you start acting like yourself and, less like a salesperson and more like a human being, the better. Go do that. That's what they're going to recognize.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories to help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined by Vikram Deal of the Real Estate Sales Academy. If you're not listening to the podcast right now on YouTube and you're driving, I highly implore you to stop the driving and to go to YouTube and ask Vikram, are you in front of a red light therapy machine right now? Is that what you're like? Is the red light on you, or are you just normally that bronzed?
Well, normally I am. I'm not as cool as you, Cody. I'm just the boring guy over here. But Salome is using the red light, and I do now see the reflection. It's a funny day. I still got toothpaste. I haven't changed my shirt. I still got toothpaste right here on my shirt. And I only wear black shirts, so I might have to go to the mall tomorrow or today and buy some new ones, because two of them have black toothpaste on it from Salome's telling me. It is what it is, man. But yes, she is red lighting. She says she's only with me because of my biohacking devices.
That's a good reason. That's very honest.
Dude,
Nice girlfriend.
Like biohacking center, bro. Like got a red light therapy, got the Nano V, which is like the cellular regenerator. That's why I'm actually 90 years old, but I only look like 27. The hyperbaric chamber. I mean, dude, I got a couple toys over here. So
it's exciting.
Yeah. Happy Friday, man. What's good in your world?
Man, we're headed into a long weekend, and that's exciting. I know.
Keep saying that. You're so excited about that.
I'm very excited about this long weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's a few different reasons I'm looking forward to. Before we enter our guests, there's a few reasons. I always have loved Labor Day because it's that feeling that I think that I have of like headed back to school. Like everyone's headed back to school. It's like, even though I'm older now and I'm like no longer going back to school, it's that feeling of like we're getting back into rhythm. We're getting back into a routine. It's like it's not that I've really been out of a routine. It's just that feeling of like, it's that feeling of excitement that everyone else in the world or in North America is getting back into routine. So I've always enjoyed Labor Day. I've always enjoyed it as just almost like a retooling, refining moment as we head back into the fall. So excited about that. But yeah, man, just hanging out. We're just doing our thing. But we have a very special guest today, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona, with Real Brokers, and hopefully we get the opportunity to meet David in San Diego. I know that you're speaking at the event. I have a booth. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking as well. I'll have to check with Sharon about that. But David, why don't you give us the high level overview on how you got into the real estate business and what you're up to now? Maybe you can delve into kind of what you're doing. We chatted in the green room about some cool things that you're doing. Maybe you can kind of give us a high level overview.
You got it. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate that. Yeah. David Pullon, currently in Scottsdale, Arizona. I really got into the business, basically born into it. My dad was a home builder back in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. That's where I grew up. So great place. Loved it. He was a home builder. I visited many of his job sites with my older brother and my older sister. I am not the builder type. My brother is basically a prop on a rugby team. He's the big offensive lineman. So when we went to the job sites, Dad would hand him a hammer and I'd get the broom. So that was about as much as he trusted me with. I was a little more he brought me on the business meetings. I was the talker, and I was the clone of him. So, but just started doing that. And my early career in sales, in real estate sales, was with the Ritz-Carlton and the Marriott corporations in their timeshare and their fractional ownership and whole ownership divisions. So I did that for really my first 15 years, from South Carolina to Maui, Hawaii, to Scottsdale, to San Francisco, to Jupiter, Florida, and a lot of places in between. And just got to a point in my life, kind of right around the crash time, 2007, 2008, where I could go wherever I wanted to. And I loved my stay here in Scottsdale in the early 2000s, and came back here then and settled in 2014 and got just into full-time residential real estate. Started with Keller Williams back here, and then had the opportunity to be the sales manager opening the new site in Arizona of the agency, and have done that for the last 4 years, and just recently left there to look at the opportunity at Real, which is where I'm starting now. So been here for about 6 months with Real. Just as we were kind of talking, as you mentioned in the green room, a great new opportunity came up. I'm going to help a gentleman by the name of Kofi Narte, and a lot of folks know Kofi from Inman. He's a speaker and an MC at Inman, and he is one of the speakers and founders of the Luxury Council. Helped both the agency, I know Compass, Keller Williams start their celebrity and sports divisions, and he just moved over to Real a few weeks ago. So some of our common backgrounds just kind of put us together. And we are going to now launch that here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to be his managing partner here in Scottsdale. And as we look forward into probably 5 to 10 other cities around the country as we grow that. So very excited to keep that going, kind of keep that connection with a lot of people, both, nationally and internationally.
You have a lot of sales background experience, specifically like with, 4 years sales manager with the agency. What do you think are some of the common pitfalls you see in the real estate space when it comes to sales? Because I come from a sales background, Vikram comes from a sales background, and, you earlier chatted about, like in the green room, chatted about connecting to be a large portion of like what you feel is your superpower in real estate. What do you think are some of the pitfalls that real estate agents in this market today, or just real estate agents in general, have when it comes to doing effective sales?
I think it really comes to collaboration. When you really look at the numbers, I was in a mastermind that I was leading the other day, and I had everybody raise their hand. I said, how many of you have double-ended a deal? And a couple of hands went up. And I said, how many of you have done, there you go. How many of you have done a transaction with somebody else in your brokerage? And a few more hands went up. And I said, great. Do you know, at least I can't speak nationally, but when I look at the, Greater Phoenix MLS here, do you know what the average of dual agency, both of those require dual agency, is, what that percentage is, and what percentage is that you are doing transactions with somebody outside of your brokerage? And the number is, doing dual agency is 3%. So 97% of the time, you're doing a transaction with somebody outside of your brokerage. And a lot of those times, it's somebody you've never met and you've never known. So in the connection part that I come from, that's why I love masterminding. Why do we mastermind? Why do we network? Why do we get out there? Because, especially in times where you have inventory low, a couple of years ago where you were getting 10 to 15, offers on your deal. If I look in there and I see, Cody's put a deal in, I know how you and I are going to work together. We're familiar with each other. Is that going to stand out more than those other 14 other offers? That
Not at all, David. Not at all. I want to take the agent that I've never heard of, that I don't know, that wrote a really sloppy offer, didn't even have it put together in a PDF. They sent it to me in 36 individual emails. That's my agent.
Yeah. And you're looking at it and you kind of go, look, think about what's the win. The win, we talk about this competition. like, oh, okay, here we go, Victor. We're gonna negotiate. You're gonna talk me off of my list price. We're gonna go above. We're gonna go below. That's a very, very small part of the transaction. Once we find common ground, we have whatever it is, 30, 45 days to close. And that's the win. The win is the close. And you and I now are both on the same team working to get that win. When it closes, who loses? Nobody does, because we all agreed on the price, the terms, and everything. So I want to work with somebody that I know, like, and trust, and we're going to be with each other for those next 30 days or however long it is, and we're going to take this thing across the finish line. Not somebody I have no idea. They're not answering my phone. I don't know who they're with. I don't know anything about their broker. I can't get in touch with this about this piece of paper, this document, this addendum. I just think when you finally sit down and you really kind of look at it and you realize 97% of the time you're dealing with people that you don't know, get out there and start knowing people. Get out there and introducing yourself. Get out there and network. Get out there and mastermind, and do it with people that are outside of your brokerage.
How do, practically, how do agents that might be on a team and maybe they have a team lead that doesn't necessarily espouse to that belief that you hold, but they want to grow, and they want to network, they want to collaborate. How practically, what does that look like to you?
Well, there's, one, I said masterminds. There's always, people wanting to get together, whether they're their BNI networking events or masterminds or something like that. One thing we have a lot here in Arizona, which is a win-win, is you have the different pockets of, Paradise Valley Luxury Home Tour. I'll use as an example. It is a who's who of people in Paradise Valley luxury real estate. If you want to be in luxury real estate in Arizona, you need to be a member of the Paradise Valley Luxury Home Tour. Same thing with the Pinnacle Peak Luxury Tour, or the Desert Ridge Luxury Tour, or the Arcadia Tour, or the Greater Scottsdale Tour. There's many of them. Take a look at those, show up to those, whether they're once a month or every other week, whatever it might be. That's where you want to be. That's where you're going to start meeting people. And sometimes it's, honestly, when I started doing that, and I've talked to a lot of people, it's kind of intimidating to get there. It's a little, some of them might be a little cliquish. It's all the same people. Yeah.
A little scary.
It's like, who's this person? This new person doesn't, maybe, and you might be fresh and brand new in the industry and you don't know anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big believer in fake it till you make it. I think that just creates a lot of fakers. They made it, and now they made it being fake. And I continue that. Show up, learn, be open-minded, be around those people, be a sponge. We all, talk about that, be coachable, that type of thing. That's what's going to create that relationship with you. Why? Because you're being authentic. You're being who you are. Don't walk in there and try to be the top agent in the city. You can't sell like them, and they can't sell like you. The more you start acting like yourself and, less like a salesperson and more like a human being, the better. Go do that. That's what they're going to recognize. Not only your colleagues around the industry, but of course your clients. And that's where you can plug in, I think, from the start. And it's just another building block. And you'll take that, your clients, your colleagues, the people that you're doing transactions with, they're all going to see it as the same. That's going to keep you consistent. That's going to keep you authentic. And we all win that way.
Yeah, we were talking on a couple of the podcasts earlier today, is that when you put something in your reticular activating system and your brain starts looking more for it. So if you start inserting yourself in, I don't like to use the word luxury. I think everybody's price point to buy a home is pretty luxurious for them, whatever they can afford. But when you're
I've seen a lot of $300,000 condos that I would call luxury.
It's like if you want to raise your price point 10%, 20%, right, 30%, you start hanging out with the agents that have what you want, and you ask them the questions in the open house. Like, it's intimidating as all shit walking into these open houses. There's Range Rovers, there's Maseratis, Mercedes, like luxury cars, there's Rolexes, Cartiers, like all these luxury watches, right? And you're like, okay, I got my suit from Ross. I got it tailored by my mom's tailor. I got the shoes that my right? Like, and you're sitting there, but you're judging yourself. But here's the thing, you guys, if you go around these things enough and you're cool and you're nice and you ask questions and you show up and you're like, hey, I did some research on the property. Wow, what an amazing property. Could you show me around? Could you do this? Could you do that? Like, how did you do this? How did you do this? How did you do that? What happens is that these people take notice of you. You have your notebook. You're taking notes. You're not an asshole. Yep. They start realizing, wait a minute, this Vikram guy, this Cody guy, this David guy, they're pretty cool. Well, shit, I need an open house done. My team's busy doing open houses. Hey, Vic, you know about all this real estate. You know the properties. You researched them. You asked the questions. You've been in the house that the brokers opened. Do you got time this weekend to do an open house? You know, I've never done a $2 million open house before, right? I've never even sold $1 million house there. You didn't know that, right? Yeah, we know, Vic. We know. Here's our checklist. Here's what we do. If you have any questions, call me. I'll make sure to pick up your phone call. Wait, you have my phone number in your phone? Yeah, you've been to 15 of my properties. My team tells me you come around and you don't treat me well. You treat everybody well. You don't try to steal the client. Wait, hold up. Next thing you know, you're now in a $2 million open house that you have no reason to be at other than you showed up because you know the inventory.
And you touched on something right there. Yep, you touched on something right there. Steal the client. You know, so many people have that. I know there are people, you know, and I think this is possibly one of the overused things, but you know, they talked about, you know, you talk about that mindset that you have, the scarcity mindset that you have. But here's the thing, you know, we all need kind of a different perspective. You know, sometimes there's a bad idea. One of my favorite all-time quotes, and I use this all the time, is from a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. And it's, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And think about that, you know, standing outside of it, like, you know, I remember thinking like, you know, hey, I'm on the golf course, you know, I'm swinging. I have the best swing, and actually it looks really, really similar to Tiger Woods in my mind. Okay? But as soon as you get that, as soon as you put that on video, you pick up your phone, you video that swing, and it, you know, shit, it's totally off. You can't. It's the same thing in business. You might be doing something, and until somebody who is not in the frame, who is not in the picture, points it out, all of a sudden, a little idea that you can make a little bit better, and you can make a little bit better. But that's where also this competition kind of starts to come in, and people think, well, you know, oh, they might steal something, they might do this. Did you know, I have been doing this for so long, and I've interviewed thousands of agents, and I'm all about the fit. You know, you have a license. I don't ever believe in everybody should get hired in the interview. I've left some places because I'm like, yeah, you know, you've heard the whole fog the mirror, have a license, have a pulse, those types of things. Yeah. To me, it's, you don't need a job, you need a fit. It's doing a disservice to that agent by bringing them into a brokerage where you can't supply what they need. So let's not have an interview. Let's sit down and talk about your needs. And every single person that I've spoken to, when I say, hey, no matter how long you've been in the business, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, where do you see the majority of your business coming from? And regardless of who it is, the answer is the exact same. It's repeat, referral, sphere, some form of that answer. Okay? So if that's true, and if that's what all of us are working towards, repeat, referral, our sphere, we want to work for that, and we all did that together in collaboration, wouldn't it lower the level of competition? Because Vic, your repeat referral isn't my repeat referral. Right. Cody, yours isn't Vic's. So now if we got together, and this is brokerage agnostic, if we got together and said, what are you doing to really stay in touch with your database, which we know Fortune's in the follow-up, and we all do a really shitty job of that. But if we really got great at that, using AI, using VAs, using handwritten notes, using all the stuff that we could do, then 20, 30, 40 transactions from repeat and referral is enough for everybody. And there would be less competition and more collaboration in doing that. So if everybody wants to get there, why aren't we going there?
Let me ask you a question here, because you got my mind, you know, like whenever somebody says like, Vikram knows this about me. Whenever somebody says like, I built my entire business off of repeat and referral, I'm always like, that just means you don't know how to run ads. Like that, like you don't know how to get like, you like, I just like that. That's just, I've always espoused to that. So, but what I'm curious about is like, why so many agents, even when they're struggling, do you think they immediately go to repeat and referral as the source that's going to bring them more business, but that yet they don't do anything in order to nurture the repeat referral sphere? Like why is it that like that is the solution? But you had brought up the fact that, you know, it's like we know what we know, and we know that all the money's in the database, all the money's in the sphere, but we don't do anything. Like what, like why do you think that is? Like why do you think that we neglect the sphere or neglect the repeat and referral, and we don't create strategic process around how to get in front of them? Like what, like, why do you think that is? Because that's, in my opinion, very much so an industry thing. We spout off that we value repeat and referral and we value sphere, but we don't do anything in order to actually treat them the way we want to be treated. And extract.
I can say it's probably one word: effort. You know, we have that goal, we have that vision, we have that thing, and then we run into a little bit of a resistance or an obstacle and we stop. And I remember seeing a thing from Alex Hormozy that he was talking about. He said, you know, I could make a millionaire out of everybody if you gave me a decade. The problem is that nobody wants to not be a millionaire for 9 of those 10 years. You know, we have become transactional and stuck in this a little bit more of instant gratification. Because listen, we might even just look at the last couple of years. You know, you throw an offer in or you have a listing, it's going to get sold, man. There's a lot of that. Now we're having to work a little bit more. We're trying to have to get things, and it's not comfortable. It's not that it's easy. It's just, it's not comfortable. And we have an issue of kind of sticking with it past that. You know, there's so many different cliches and stuff about, you know, going that one step further and getting that one step better type of thing. But that's it. Things get uncomfortable and we kind of go, you know what, maybe I'll go a different way. Maybe I'll dive back into the dialer and start jamming away on Mojo and finding some cold call deals. Oh, wait, I don't like the cold call either. That lasted a whole hour. You know, I'm pissed off at doing that too. I don't want to do that. And then you go another way and another way. Keep going with what you're doing. Make yourself uncomfortable. You turn around, you see how far out of your comfort zone you've become. And more importantly, you realize how far you've grown, and you just prove to yourself, woo, I've got a little more effort than I had next time. Let's keep going with this because it feels good.
Hi, it's Cody from Sheridan Street. I want to invite you to a free trial of our Sheridan Street appointment engine where we'll send you 3 buyer and seller live appointments for absolutely free. Go to sheridanstreet.io/trial. That's SHERIDANST.io/trial. And you'll get instant access to a free trial of our Sheridan Street appointment engine. Let's hop back into the show.
I believe there's a mindset shift. Words have power, right? And so everything starts as a thought. Well, how do we think of the clients that we were working with? I talked about this in the Real Estate Sales Academy yesterday. Today, Friday? What day is today? Yesterday.
Yeah.
I said, who here has a past client? Everybody raised their hand. I said, who here has an active client? Everybody raised their hand. I said, who here just has clients? And they all were like questioning, like, what do you mean? Well, we have active clients and then we have clients. We don't see ourselves like, if you talk to a doctor, my dad's a doctor, he doesn't say, oh, well, I have 3,700 active clients this year, but I have 9,000 past patients. He's like, no, I'm like, how many patients do you see a year? He's like, I don't know, 50 a day times 5 days a week times 50 weeks out of the year. I was like, Dad, I'm not very good in math. Like, what's that number? He's like, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000. I was like, well, how many patients do you have? He's like, oh, probably 30 or 40,000. He never thought of him as a past client. They just didn't need his service at the time. They don't throw their charts away. If don't think of people as past clients. They're just clients that haven't. And if you treat them like they're your friends and family, I always say like real estate is like sales is very much so like a one night stand. It's like a hot weekend fling. You go, you're all about them. You're showing them houses. You're in and out. You're doing all the things. Taking them to coffee. It's like you meet a hottie on a Friday, you close on a Sunday, and you never talk to them again. Like, do y'all want one night stand businesses or do you want to have relationships? Because y'all say relationships. So one is how we think about it. And 2, we forget that we're human beings because people put their real estate cap on, their salesperson cap on. And when they put that cap on, they turn off the humanity cap. And I'm guilty of it because I'm like, all right, we've had 200 conversations with these. Cody and I have had 200 conversations. And I'm like, Cody, what do I say to these people? He's like, bro, you spent 45 minutes with these people. Like, we had great. He's like, why do you? He's like, why don't you just reach out to them? Tell them what you do. See if that's a good fit. If it's not like you're trying to steal something from them. And so we turn on our salesperson cap and we turn off our human cap. And I think that's really important that we we have that distinction that we're always just humans doing human things.
And I'll add one more little thing to that. That salesperson cap that you turn on or that you put on isn't even yours. It's somebody else's that is now programmed into you. You are programmed to be what you read or what you heard or what you've seen somebody else do, not the human side. That's what I was talking about. The earlier you start being more of a human being and less like the salesperson, the better. As soon as we put that cap on, we are programmed now to act this way based on what we read in some book about real estate, about what we should do, about how we should follow up. But yet we don't do that because that's not authentically who we are, and we haven't developed those habits yet.
And I love that you went in that direction because like immediately my mind went to like, I was saying to Vikram the other day, like, so we went to a free appointment trial where it's like, it's just like, we'll send you 3 appointments. If you like working with us, cool. If you don't, cool. And it's like that process for me is so much more fun. And it's like, and I'm curious to know from you specifically in your business, like what authenticity looks like for you and how do you teach that to your team? Like, because like for me, I feel so much more authentic hopping on a call with a real estate team and be like, cool, man. Like, if you want to work with us, amazing. We're going to send you 3 appointments. Here's the pricing. Here's how it works with us after. Cool. You want to work? Cool. You good? Like, we're all good now. We're still friends. Even if you decide you don't want to work with me, like we're still going to have conversation. We're still going to be like, that like, and the means, like me and Sharon will have this conversation, the means of the free trial gives us the ability to be like, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but how, like, I feel so much more authentic in that business model. And you talked earlier about like, cold calling and it's like not wanting to do it because it doesn't feel authentically you. And like, how do you balance that on a team where it's like, how do you help somebody find their true authentic way of how they want to sell? Like, I would rather send 100 DMs. I feel like versus like picking up the phone and calling somebody. That's just like for me. But like, there's a fine balance between being authentically you and doing nothing. Because on a team, it's like, somebody like can use the excuse of, I don't do that because I don't do cold calling or I don't do door knocking and say, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do to generate business? If it's not cold calling, it's not open house, it's not door knocking, then what do you do? I just want to post on social media. It's like, well, that's not bringing you any business. So how do you help somebody who might be struggling still operate in their true authentic self while pushing themselves outside of the comfort zone?
A couple ways. I mentioned earlier that I came up through, the Ritz-Carlton and the Marriott corporations, and we were very much into assessments with the Gallup organization. And if you've ever looked at Clifton Strengths Finders, they identify within everyone 34 themes. Okay. And it's basically soar with your strengths and manage around your areas of improvement is what you finally get to those. So when you're on a team, especially, which I think is very important, I love teams because I can't do everything well. There are things that I do well, and there are things that I could do, but I don't want to, or it would take me a long time. For example, for me, like analytical, way down on me. Okay. I'm the maximizer, which is I don't settle. I kind of keep pushing. I'm the relator. I'm the communication. I'm kind of that. Analytical stuff is more like in our business contracts. Okay. Let's take that, for example. I will not do a contract without a transaction coordinator. Why? Could I do it? Absolutely. What takes me an hour to do takes her 10 minutes to do, and she's going to do it correctly. And that's where you find those people on your team or around you that can kind of accentuate your strengths and then also help you with those areas of improvement. I don't like to call them weaknesses. They're just areas of improvement. You can do them. You just don't want to do them or don't do them well. You find those people, that allows you to be who you are. That allows you to be a lot more authentic. So you can just kind of go be you. And when you start doing that, you're like, you know what? If this falls through the cracks, I know Wes is going to pick it up. I know T is going to pick it up. I know Kofi's going to pick it up because that's what they do well. And that's why we're together. But you have to identify that, and you just have to be open and honest. Like I said in the beginning, you don't need a job. You need a fit. You're going to be more successful when you're just open and honest, kick back, put your feet up, and tell your team leader, this is what I do. This is what I don't do well. I'll go through things and get a little bit better of them, but you're going to also identify that I need to be matched up with somebody else who's going to accentuate that.
It's so funny. I was having this conversation with Kuval yesterday, one of my clients. And so he's taking on a leadership role in his company, possibly. And he's like, we're talking about what he loved about his previous role in a previous life and what he wants to do now. And it's these are my boundaries. Like, I don't care if you pay me less. I don't care if you decide not to give me this role. If this is what I have to do, I'm not going to do it. And Sharon and I talked about this years ago. And Sharon says your no list should be bigger than your yes list. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's a really powerful way to end on this. Who is your, what are your no's? What are your yeses? So you can have focus and clarity in life. David, we got to wrap this up. This went by super fast. If people wanted to reach out to you and give you a holler, where do they find you? MySpace, Instagram?
Do you see some wrinkles? You see my wrinkles up on MySpace still?
I don't know where MySpace came up from, but it just had to come out.
I can safely say I never had a MySpace page. Yeah.
Really? My God.
The one to go through would be Instagram. It's Dave, just D-A-V-E Pullon, at Dave Pullon, is my Instagram. And, you can find a lot of, my link tree and different things of ways to contact me from there. That's the best place to go.
Love it.
Man, Dave, this was a ton of fun. I had fun. So, it's always great chatting with people that
Cody doesn't care about anybody else. As long as he has fun, that's all Cody cares about.
Exactly. No. Vikram, settle down for a second. It's always good to chat with somebody that shares a very similar ethos to life and to business.
Absolutely.
The collaboration thing for me is
I love it.
I've always been about it. I'm about masterminds. It's how I originally met Sharon, which then is how I met, Vikram. It's getting around good people that want to do good things for the world. It makes all the difference. So Dave, I just really want to say thank you more than anything for joining us today on the podcast. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.